So here we have the beast, the Vertigo. What is it? A VSE-2. Now it's a 3-band EQ, and it is very, very good. And I've been using it today. It's I think it's 4,600 ink vat, and it's good. I like it. I've been using it. It's 4.5, which is a lot for a 3-band EQ. But those 3 bands are 3 very, very, very good bands. I'm actually really, really enjoying it. I've got the plugin up behind me because I've done some plugin comparisons as well. So let's see what it sounds like. I'm going to run it through some audio demos, and yeah, let's see what it sounds like. So there we have some great A/B comparisons over drums. From my experience there, one's clearly analog, one's clearly digital. That's just part and parcel. You're never gonna know an analog piece of equipment and a digital piece of digital plugin. It's never gonna happen. But when the thing to consider here is 4,600 for the analog hardware, software, 229 euros. When you compare those two factors, if you're a producer, use the plugin is brilliant. It sounds just like the analog hardware. It just doesn't have that extra 5%. It's just a little bit extra. There's a smoothness about the analog one that you just don't get in the digital. But when you consider 4,600 versus, let's call it £2,000, 4,600, 200, there's a massive, massive jump in price there. Is there, what is that? 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 23 times. Is there 23 times the difference? And no, there's not 23 times the difference. There's 5% difference. There's 5%, that little extra. Now, what I always say when it comes to mastering is analog is ridiculously better than digital when it comes to mastering, because that 5%, another 10 pieces of equipment, 5, that 5% accumulated over the course of all these pieces of equipment adds up to an exceptional sound. And when it comes to mastering, that smoothness that we can physically hear in when listening to these comparisons, that smoothness is what makes all the difference. You get a lovely smooth analog sound with mastering with the analog gear. With the plugin, it's a little bit more brittle. I called Nick in to listen to these demos, and I blind tested him. I flicked A to B, and he could pick out which was analog, which was digital, and what he basically said was that one's smooth and that one's brittle. That one's the brittle being the digital and the smooth one being the analog. And that's just fact of how it sounds. And I think everybody who's listened to the audio demo prior to this section will agree with me that the analog sounds a bit more smooth and the digital one sounds a bit more brittle. But that's not to say that the digital plugin isn't brilliant, because it is. It's a really, really good plugin. The difference being 23 times the price, and multiple instances. It does make the plugin very, very attractive. There's a certain market and a certain person that's going to buy this analog hardware, and that is top-end engineers, people who want top quality mastering chains. I think personally myself, it's a brilliant EQ, really good. It would by no means be your only EQ. You would never get this as your only EQ. But as a kind of, I look at it as a top end, bring out the top end, bring out the bottom end, and bring out something in the middle. That's what I love it for, and that's what it's really good for. And the same with the plugin. The plugin is brilliant for that. So yeah, I mean, looking at it, there isn't a massive amount of difference. I think we'd all agree with that. But it is 5%, that's that little bit that just gives the analog piece of equipment the edge, but at 23 times the price.